Good evening, sunshines. We are being joined by Adam of No Trades as always, but he's way in the back because he's going to be moderating. We have a very special guest. This is Carson, who is a renowned soil expert. Also, if you remember from our 3 ingredients to fix your soil.
Correct.
We talked about how we fixed our clay soil here in Tennessee with just 3 ingredients video. And an expert farmer came and told me what was wrong with my farm. Carson is a 6th generation farmer that went to school for plant science and soil health stuff, but then he worked in big ag selling fertilizer, chemical fertilizer for a long time, and he's since reformed his ways
I'm
and
a
become
reformed guy now.
a regenerative farmer.
Correct.
And so Carson is the best guy to talk to for garden stuff, for animal health stuff, for genetic stuff. We have the longest conversations ever via phone and text all the time about everything that is so nerdy. And so we thought it would be really fun, because he's here visiting us this week, to have Carson be our famed podcast guest tonight.
Yay.
And so we're so thankful you're here. As always, Eugene, the real star of the live streams, is running around here somewhere, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for Eugene. Also, I should mention the reason that Adam is so far back there is because this room had to be baby proofed, not for our 9.5 months pregnant baby that we currently have. Well, he's not pregnant, I'm pregnant with him. This is weird. But we had to baby proof this room for Eugene to keep the cords out of her chewing radius. And so the only place that Adam could safely plug in his computer to moderate all the things is back there. All that to say that our live stream today is going to be a garden, animal genetics, soil health, farm extraordinary questionnaire. Like, we have an actual real life expert amongst us, so ask all of your questions. We've also compiled the questions from the audience prior, so we have things to fill in the gaps. But thank you so much for being here, Carson.
I'm excited to be here. It'll be so fun.
Let's tee it off right off the bat with talking about what we've basically been talking about all day. If you've made good compost, you've made compost, what is the thing that almost everyone should do that they don't do before they put it in their garden?
You need to test it. Most people don't know that they should be testing their compost. As I talk to people and they show me their soil test, and they'll say, I've been putting compost on my soil for 5 years and I'm still low on all this stuff. Why am I having problems? And it's because they haven't tested it. And I am Mr. Rip Ranch, by the way, if they saw that in the thing.
Oh my gosh, okay, by the way, he also has a YouTube channel. Oh gosh, my introduction sucked.
No, that was so funny.
Mr. Rip Ranch.
Yeah, that's
Carson.
great.
Check out his YouTube channel. It talks about cows and probably a lot of...
Mostly cows.
Yeah.
Mostly cows and soil stuff, but
yes.
Mostly cows.
Oh, I see Eugene. Who sees Eugene back there? There she is. Behind Carson. Don't worry about it. It's great. So
it's great.
She's eating. She's gonna attack you at any point. Just kidding. She won't. Oh, there she is. Ah, so cute. Okay, so, but that's just a normal soil test, right? Like, you don't have to have a special compost test. What's the best soil test to use?
So Redmond soil test. Not all soil tests. Like, if you just go and buy any soil test, it's not going to test compost because it's built for just soil.
Like a pH test is literally only going to test the pH, and that's not going to give you any good information.
Or if you send your compost into the lab, it's not going to be like any lab. It's going to be doing it comparative to soil. But the way that the Redmond test is a serum-based test, so it's actually testing available nutrients is what you actually want to test.
So what the plant is actually able to eat out of the soil.
Yes, so that's why the Redmond one's great, because it's got the serum. It's a serum-based test. So I think that's the best one to use.
It's, and by the way, this is a shameless self-plug for my own thing really quick. You could use the code ANNOFALLTRADES at redmond.com. Adam, can you put this in the chat? A link to the soil tests. If you use the code AnivalTrades, it'll get you a discount. And then Redmond will also know that I sent you. So there we go.
Very helpful, yeah.
Great. So that's great. But yeah, test your compost. That is kind of a thing that's like an oh duh.
But we
miss it.
I'd say 95% of people doing compost don't test it. And like putting it on non-tested compost is not going to cause problems, right?
Surely.
But you don't know if you're having like nitrogen issues every year, you're probably doing something wrong in the composting process that's making the nitrogen go away. So then you'll know, oh, I need to change something, or I'm getting it too hot.
I can fix my compost. I'm burning all of the nitrogen out of my compost by having my piles stay too hot, so it's turning it into ammonium nitrate. But we could also literally fix that by adding coffee grounds to our finished compost.
Right.
And then there we go. We've got a nitrogen source. So test your compost. I love that. We're hopefully we can actually successfully complete the video before you have to go home, because your daughter broke
my daughter broke her wrist. Yes.
So
I was on the plane.
Yeah. His trip is going to be cut a little short. But we're trying to fit as much as we possibly can in before he has to go home. All right. So now we can go to action. Oh, great. Let's hear it.
From Mabel Mayberry.
Mabel Mayberry.
I don't know how much y'all can hear me, but so you might have to.
I'm going to repeat Adam's questions because I think that my mic is louder than his, and also because I'm like always so hyper during lives. I may or may not be yelling. So yes.
What is the difference between compost and bag potting soil?
Oh, Mabel Mayberry asks, what is the difference between compost and bagged potting soil? Great question.
So potting soil is just going to be some type of dirt. Honestly, it's going to be some type of dirt, and they'll add like vermiculite or something that makes peat moss, something to help hold water. Compost is going to be completely broken down organic matter. So completely different. They do different things. So
would you want to put compost? Sorry, this is a leading question, but I'm choking on my tea out of my really cool cup, by the way.
It is a cool cup.
Relevant.
I just barely got it. Like, I've seen you drink out of it multiple times a day.
My favorite part about it is the butt.
That's so funny.
Describe it for people who are listening.
For people who are just listening and you're not watching, this is a pregnancy cup. I first saw it in the movie Baby Mama, which is probably a 20-year-old movie at this point. Her obstetrician is using this cup, and I found it on the internet and bought it, and I've had it since then. Okay. Why would you want to use potting soil as you're potting baby plants, as opposed to just skipping it all and going straight and just potting your seeds in compost?
Mostly, for one, is going to be like the water retention, right? That would be one of the big ones I'm thinking of. What are you thinking?
Well, because when you're first, it depends on how long you have you plan to have your if you're just starting seedlings, a seed actually has the full everything that the plant
all the nutrients,
needs
right?
Already, so you don't want to overload it with too much nutrients, and so if you're putting a seedling into straight compost, you're probably overloading it and you're getting too much of a good thing.
Which there's such thing.
Which there is definitely such a thing. But yeah, but if you're transplanting a seedling into a pot and you're planning on leaving it in that pot, you would want to use compost would be fine, because you're ultimately going to be needing to feed that. But the big difference is literally that there is a peat moss or vermiculite, which is holding more water in just potting soil.
Right. So it's not all. So you don't just water and it doesn't just
fall out the bottom of the pot. Because when we pot in the ground, hopefully we have the ground is also able to retain some water, and there's filtration systems. Whereas if you just put it in a pot, if there's nothing to hold the water, it's just going to go whoop.
So you can if you don't want to go to the store to buy potting soil, you can make some.
Absolutely.
Vermiculite, peat moss, something like that.
Yes. Absolutely. And actually, I never want to go to the store, so I.
So much cheaper when you don't go, right?
It really is a great way to
You
save
might have
money.
to go
Is
buy
never
peat
leaving
moss,
your house.
but it'll go a lot farther, right?
True.
Like
So
one
I
bag
actually
of peat
buy,
moss can go a long
yeah, I
ways.
buy bales of peat moss, and that's what I use. Actually, now I've been experimenting with other things, coconut coir and other things.
Right.
But yeah, it's much cheaper to garden if you never leave your house. Pro tip.
It's true. It's so true.
I think maybe you should give like a quick explanation of like what compost is, because I have a few questions.
Oh, great.
Like if I'm buying compost, is it animal based or plant based better?
Okay, great.
And then somebody says compost manure.
All right. So, Adam is compiling several questions and telling us we need to talk a little bit like more about what compost actually is. Is compost plant based? Is it manure based? What is compost and what's its purpose?
Yeah.
So, compost is just simply broken down, and it can be. There's some have manure in it, some doesn't. Sorry,
It's not required.
It's not required.
You can make compost without manure, with manure. You can actually put all kinds of. You can put way more things. There's like a bunch of no-nos of compost. Like you can't put poop or meat or bones. That's all of those rules go out the window as soon as you understand compost science a little bit. And so this is a shameless plug for our beginner's guide to compost video. If you really just need a beginner's guide and you want like step-by-step instructions about how to build your pile, what you want to put in it, go watch that video. Not right now. Hang out with us and learn some stuff first. But that is a great video for that. But so yeah.
So it's pretty much you get a carbon source, which just think of it as brown. So like
something that's dead, doesn't
Something
have
dead.
water in it anymore.
mulch. There's lots of options.
Straw,
Straw.
newspaper,
Yep.
sawdust.
Then you mix it with green, which is the nitrogen source. You let it decay and break down, and you mix it, let it cook, build all that microbial activity, and it just makes a sweet stuff called compost.
And then that compost, in theory, is basically in place of ever having to use fertilizers. Because it's broken down organic matter, it's basically a bunch of tiny little sponges, so it's going to help you with water retention. And in theory, by using compost, oops, you startled Eugene. But in theory, instead of using compost will replace any NPK fertilizers or any synthetic thing, but because you're using an organic thing that was broken down naturally by nature, it's got natural like microbes, fungus, the fungus among us, the good stuff, good bacteria, all the things that are.
And the nutrients are available, right?
Yes, again, available for the plant to eat.
There was a really interesting study at the University of Illinois where they studied all the nitrogen they put on corn crops, and I can't remember the exact amount, but so they put tons of nitrogen on these corn crops, and only like 40% of it's actually getting to the corn kernel.
So 40% of your financial investment
is actually making
turning
its way,
into corn.
Everything else is leaching, or you can look up that study. But the best kind of nitrogen is stuff that's like made from the atmosphere and from compost. So we need to get away from these synthetic things and start using things that are like compost. The soil knows what to do with it.
Because not only is it cheaper, it's more better.
It's more better, and you're getting rid of all the weird stuff. Like you've got a bunch of weeds or whatever you have, green stuff. Use it to make compost instead of throwing it away.
Oh, so you can put weeds in your compost?
Yeah.
That's a leading question.
Yes.
We have a video on our channel called Weeds Are the Answer to All of Your Garden Problems, and we talk about using weeds to as visual soil tests, but also if the weed exists, it's a sign that your soil needs that fix. So take that weed and turn it into compost.
Yeah.
And then use that to fertilize your garden, and voila, that weed stops showing up when it stops being needed to fix the soil.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Ta-da!
It's like it's simple or something.
It is, but it's I think that gardening for so many people is so unapproachable and so scary because we attach a lot of risk to it. It's time, it's energy, it's money, it's like, if it doesn't work out, then what?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not all of us are fully reliant on our gardens to provide 100% of our food supply. Like, most of us can go to the grocery store if things don't work out. But I do think that, like, so many people for so long, whether they're trying to sell courses or get you to watch their YouTube videos or whatever it is, it's like they make it seem so much more complicated than it is, when really you just gotta, like, look around a little bit.
It's really profitable for people to make it complicated. Yes.
Yeah. Follow the money.
I have a question for Jared Clow. Mycorrhizal fungi.
All right.
Any benefits?
Jared Clow asks, mycorrhizal fungi, any benefits?
Yes.
So
you're talking to the fungi lady, like.
fungi.
Yes.
Mycorrhizal fungi are, like, the quick way to define that is fungi, which is like mushroom roots or mushroom feet that have an inner relationship with your plant roots. And so mycorrhizal fungi, absolutely beneficial for your garden, because that relationship that they will establish with your plant's roots, like, you can have mycorrhizal fungi that have a much bigger root system than the actual roots of your plant. You can then, like, the plant will tell the mushroom network what it needs. The mushroom network will then go in search of that, say, like, hey, I need some potassium up here. It'll go find it, because that mutually beneficial relationship that they form together is like, the mushroom needs the plant to create more healthy leaf matter that will then die back and then give the mushroom more food to eat.
Right.
And so the mushroom really wants to help the plant thrive. So yes, absolutely, very, very beneficial. In fact, we are having an issue with, like, a negative bacterial infection in our garden right now that is actually fixed by spreading mycorrhizal fungi. So yeah, huge benefit. Is it something you have to buy?
No.
Absolutely not.
It's a good indicator of soil health, though. It's really, like, if you look at your root system and you're seeing all these mycorrhizal fungi, just look for hairs.
What does it look like?
Like roots, almost like little hairs.
White hairs, right?
Yeah.
It looks almost like it's, if you like it, it almost looks like it's moldy in there. So,
Yes.
so I have had a lot of people send me pictures of their soil,
And say, "Is it
and they're
moldy?"
like, "Oh my gosh, my soil's covered in mold. What do I do?" And I'm like, "That's not mold. That's actually gold."
Right.
Oh,
ooh,
that's
look at
a
that.
new T-shirt.
There you go. Look
That's
at that.
not mold. It's gold.
But yeah, if you have that, it's a good deal. It's really awesome.
Yeah. So where would you get mycorrhizal fungi for your garden if you didn't want to buy it at the store?
I didn't even know you could buy it.
Oh yeah, there's like sprays. Listen, people are monetizing everything. Have you heard about the economy recently? Like,
I must
people
not
are
go to the
making money
farm store.
everywhere
Like,
they can.
my thing is just to have healthy soil, and your plants will naturally get it.
Yeah, mycorrhizal fungi will show up if you're putting, like, most mycorrhizal fungi wants to, like, associate with decaying wood matter mostly. So, like, if you're taking leaves, fallen leaves, wood chips, arborist chips, you know, the clippings from your power company when they trim your trees, if you have enough of that stuff decaying, it will show up. I also always say, like, just go take a walk in the woods and grab a pile of leaves, stick it in your pocket, and then put it under one of your plants.
So do they sell it just like as like?
Oh yeah, you can get it in sprays. You can get it in, like, remember I was showing you those little vials earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought you just had to have healthy soil.
A lot of it's sold as powder in a bag.
Wow.
Also, I just want to say hi to Black's Tropical Homestead, who...
They changed the name.
What?
Is it South Florida Tropical Homestead now?
Oh, actually, maybe that's someone else. Ironically, I literally saw Tropical Homestead and I thought it was them. I am severely dyslexic, for anyone who is just joining us.
Sad thing is, I am too, and I thought the same thing.
That's so funny. Well, anyway, in case they're here, we say hello, but in case they're not, no problem. But also, hello, South Florida Sunshine Tropicals.
Oh.
I can't read. Yeah. Adam, next question.
How do I know, this is just from our list of questions we
Yeah.
Ahead of time. How do I know if my soil is too compacted?
How do I know if my soil is too compacted? That is a great question.
So I have really compacted soil where I live. First off, it's heavy clay, and I'm thinking of my farm, not my garden. My garden, it's easier to fix gardens because they're so small and you can like put a lot of things on it. So the main thing is water retention. Like you could have a rain event and the water will just run off it, right?
Like it runs across it.
Across it.
Or sits in pools on top of it.
Yeah, it's not getting in the soil. The other thing is you look at roots, and sometimes like your root plants, like you plant. So I planted daikon radishes as and it like was growing above the ground because it was
like the radish was growing above.
Yeah, it was like so hard. So you can look at your root system, like if it looks like it's really struggling.
Can you stick your hand in it without stubbing your fingers? That's a good indicator.
A good test is to get like a screwdriver and push it down and see how hard it is to push it down.
How difficult.
There actually is a really cool tool that you can push, and you go until it's red, and it'll tell you how compacted your soil is. I don't have one because I just use a screwdriver. But you could buy one of those, but I just use a screwdriver, and
that would involve leaving the house, though,
yes,
which we can't.
I already have a screwdriver.
Yeah.
So I just do it, and I kind of know, like, oh, I can go this far down, and 5 years later, I can go this far down. So.
Yep. You can also just take a bucket of water and like pour it on, and if the water splashes off your soil and doesn't go like seep down in, or if it puddles on top. If you come back 10 minutes later and there's still a puddle, you've got a real problem. But there's also if you have tons of dandelions growing in your garden, that's often a sign because that's one of nature's natural plows that they'll put up. If you have tons of dock, yellow dock or other like plants that have deep taproots, thistle is a really good sign that you have tons of compacted soil. So if you look at the weeds, they'll tell you, but if you look at the way water hits your soil, that'll tell you. And yeah, just take a screwdriver. Is it really difficult to push it in? It should be really easy because if you think about how tender and like weak the roots of a plant are, like if you ever take a seedling out of the packet, how easy is it to bend those? Think about how hard it must be for those guys to go in and actually find a valid pathway. So if your soil isn't really, really like accommodating to something that's that soft and tender, that's a good sign that you probably need to.
Like to add to that, we made a video about your soil, what it would look like naturally where you live.
Oh yeah, solid clay.
Yeah, like if you go over here on the side of our barn, you could probably not put your finger in this far.
Yeah, without breaking your fingernail.
Yes. You go into her garden, you can put your whole hand in.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So can you fix compacted soil without like heavy tillage or things? Yes.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about that. If you have really compacted soil and you've never gardened there and it's like your very first time, no one here, I think, will shame you for tilling it once and putting it and then adding a ton of organic matter to it and then letting that start, decomposing.
Tilling is a tool, right?
Tilling is a tool. However, you could also very easily get away with not tilling at all and simply taking because most of our garden plants especially their root systems are not going to go super deep. So if you literally just put 1 to 2 inches of compost on top of your totally compact soil, you are it will probably fix the soil enough. It'll invite enough microbes and other things to start kind of digging their way and making a pathway.
And think of all the good things about compost. It helps retain water. It helps with organic matter. What are you trying to do to that hard compacted soil? You're trying to include organic matter, retain water. So the compost is doing all the things that you wish your soil was doing, and it'll help it fix.
Absolutely. Hey, Adam, I forgot to close the bathroom door really quick. I need you to do that so Eugene can't get caught in the mouse trap that's in there.
Ooh, that would
really important. There it is. Oh, Eugene. Oh, no. She's okay. You just startled her. So if you just close that, that's great. And then put my boot in front of it so she can't go through that little hole right there. These are.
There's a lot of.
I saw. Oh yeah, right in front of that little hole right there. Eugene is I think the most, I want to say that, oh look, hilarious, my friend Rachel's calling, and look at what the photo that is on my screen when Rachel calls is literally, oops, how do I see the actual screen? It's this. Anyway, it's a picture of Eugene and Briggs.
I have a question.
Can you see it? Oh yeah, here we go. Yes, tell us the question.
Kara Smith asks, I am from Minnesota and I just got the mushroom spawn you recommended and the Mineralite.
Oh, awesome. We love Mineralite.
I just got plants planted with mulch. When should I put out that stuff?
Right now.
Right now.
Can I give everyone the best advice on when to put stuff out?
Please.
Here is my best advice. The best time is always at green up, usually in the spring. Most things, like unless it needs to break down.
Oh, explain green up really quick.
So
I've never heard that.
Green up, well, it's often used in agriculture because like first time in spring when things are starting to green up, that's when things are waking up and the nutrients are super helpful. So like when you're planting, that would be what green up would be
Oh, okay.
in a
So
garden.
literally when things start turning green,
When
that's
things
green
start
up.
turning green. The very best time for almost all amendments, unless they need time to break down, okay?
Yeah.
The second best time is right now because you're going to forget.
Yep.
Like, don't wait until next year.
Yeah, absolutely don't wait till next year. Yeah, the best time, I always say, it's like we say in woodworking, like what's the best time to plant a tree, or I guess also in orcharding and gardening.
Right.
When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, because then the tree will already have grown. Or right now.
Just do it right now.
Yeah, do it right now so you don't forget.
So this would be, it's a great time to do it. You gotta,
And a special note, especially about the mushrooms. So if you got, I recommend that people get wine cap mycelium or wine cap mushrooms to plant in their garden. The reason I recommend that mushroom specifically is because the mycelium or the roots of that mushroom are the most aggressive. Fungi, there's so many different kinds of funguses. There's so many fungi at all of these parties. They like to compete with each other. So like there are a lot of funguses that are less desirable for garden stuff that have very competitive root systems. So like the reason I love wine caps is because of all the edible mushrooms, like the ones you can eat, wine caps have the most aggressive mycelium. And so the best time to add your wine cap mushroom stuff is when you're also adding some like mulch or other organic matter to your soil, because the mycelium of wine cap will eat decaying wood matter, it'll eat decaying plant matter, it'll eat decaying straw, like all of the things that we'll use as mulch in our garden. That's the time when it's fresh and it doesn't have other funguses already among uses in it. That's when you want to add your wine cap, because then it has the most stuff to eat. But what's so cool about that is that it will make an edible mushroom from any of that stuff. Whereas if you're trying to get edible mushrooms from other things, you have to be really intentional about the substrate or like the thing you plant it into. Whereas with wine caps, you can just be like, woo!
And that's why you ask questions about fungi to Anne. Like she is...
I love mushrooms. They're so cool.
She really does, and it's cool. That's why you should ask her questions about it.
But yeah, so and also they did mention Mineralite, which is actually another thing that like we have had some of the nerdiest conversations that I love the most about soil health, because we started talking, I think when one of our first conversation was about the importance of remineralizing your soil, which is a very fancy way of saying most soil in the world is depleted, which is why we have to add, which is why we feel like we have to add fertilizer.
That's why we've been fertilizing. Yep.
Yeah, but the thing is that fertilizer only adds three.
Maybe if they're like really generous, maybe 6 minerals. Like maybe not that your very best fertilizers.
Yeah, it's like maybe just taking a vitamin C and thinking that that's good enough. Like we take a multivitamin because we need lots of different things to survive and thrive, or we try to have a varied diet because we need to. The plants are exactly the same. So in remineralizing our soil, like what we're trying to do is literally give plants a much bigger buffet of things to eat. But it seems super complicated, it seems super scientific, but I found Redmond through my animal like husbandry stuff, and then I found out that you guys make a product that is actually for remineralizing your soil. So tell us a little bit about Mineralyte and what that is.
So the cool thing is, like I said, let's go to the corn kernel, because corn's easy for everyone. If you took it and you took like a mineral analysis, it's not just going to have nitrogen, potassium, and calcium. Like, it's going to have 90 minerals or something in it, just like our blood does.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of crazy that we only supplement a couple. So Mineralyte has like natural minerals in it. So it has clay, some Redmond salt, like real salt, if you know about real salt, and then another volcanic mineral and humates in it. So the thing that we've seen in studies is, one thing is organic matter increases because the soil's healthier. The other one is the plant quality increases, which means less pests, less problems, things like that. And the other one is we're seeing microbial populations increase, which is really, so all the things you want for soil health, it's right there. And on top of that, we're remineralizing 60 to 90 plus minerals, whatever,
yes.
how much you want to test.
So like, let's just say that you're making your own compost and everything else. Like there's literally, I proudly saying this in the least derogatory way. I'm one of the cheapest humans alive. I don't want people buying fertilizer, A, because it's a waste of money and it's not good for your soil. There are two things that I say are worth investing money in for your garden, and I mean, well, actually three, yeah. Testing your soil, testing your compost, testing or using Mineralyte, which is very cheap considering how much, like, you can get a bag of Mineralyte for
what, like
$36?
Yeah,
for more than you need for like 2 years for most people's garden sizes.
And it won't go bad. Like, it'll be fine. It'll last.
And then the other thing is wine cap mushroom spawn. If you have those three things, like, best news of the day, you don't have to leave your house to order any of those things. You can get all three of those things online. But those are the three things that if you were only going to do three things for your garden, and you were only going to buy three things, and you were going to use like nothing else that you'd purchased, this is what I say. It's like, for under $100, you can get everything that you need to supplement your garden, to improve your soil, to like reduce your watering needs, to like those things. And yeah,
that just makes it so easy too. Like, if that's all you're worried about, those things. So my compost, Mineralyte, your wine
cap mushrooms.
Yep. And test your soil to make sure there's no outliers, because once in a while there might be something that's wacky in your soil that you need to adjust, right?
Totally.
Like, some people might have had some kind of farming there, so there's no nitrogen, so you might have to get some feather meal or something.
But even then, hold on, that's actually really important. Feather meal, not synthetic nitrogen fertilizer.
Yeah, don't go get urea, because what does urea do? It kills the bugs in the soil. Feather meal is not going to do that. So you can put that on. Your soil will know what to do with it. You go put urea on. We've seen over and over again what happens to the beneficial bacteria, the protozoa, the fungi. All of it goes down. So.
And also, let's just because like some people have no idea what feather meal is or where to get it. So if you have a farm store or a co-op or a Tractor Supply, you can buy feather meal, which is literally ground up feathers.
You can buy it online too.
Oh, great.
Like, I think the
Even
Mindful
better.
Farmer sells it.
Oh, cool.
If you know him, I think.
Yeah, and that is technically a fertilizer.
Yeah.
But it is a natural fertilizer that will give the bugs in the soil something to eat. It'll give your plants something to eat and other things like that. So we're not recommending that you go and buy a synthetic fertilizer.
Synthetic fertilizer kills the soils. This is like you eating a steak compared to just taking a pill or something, right? Like, it's like a long-term fix instead of the quick fix that we'll see instant results. So I had a pasture. Can I tell a story about putting fertilizer on compared to like the whole products? And I use manure because we had a lot of manure, because I'm a rancher. So we have lots of manure, lots of cows. And so we spread manure, and this is when I worked as a fertilizer salesman. And so I ran out of manure halfway through a pasture, and so I put urea on the second half of the pasture.
And so also, just like, let's talk about cost. Like, so you went like from you went and bought like the same stuff that a hay farmer would use to fertilize their field. Cost wise, what is that?
So like $800 a ton, and so a ton will do 10 acres. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so to do my manure was just loading it with my tractor in the manure spreader. Like, it's super easy. So almost no cost compared to $800. So the grass on where I put the urea grew really fast and tall, and it was like yellow and washy colored.
Because it had too much nitrogen.
Yeah, and it's not natural. The place where I put the manure was dark and rich, and it was near the highway. And the turkeys that go by my farm, the wild turkeys go and spend all their time in the spot near the highway. Like, that is completely not where they hang out.
Yeah.
And they'd go across there because this stuff didn't have the nutrients. This stuff did.
Yeah.
So
Adam,
I see that
are you
over
climbing
again.
around back there looking for Eugene?
Yeah, I was trying to make sure it was okay.
Oh yeah.
Because I heard it gnawing on something.
Oh, she might be doing something naughty.
That's what I was trying to see. But
That's funny.
I think she might have been chewing some of your wood projects.
Well,
Hopefully you don't have one in
the good
that's
news
important.
is we'll have to. If they're still in progress, they're still fixable if she's chewing on them.
South Florida Sunshine Tropicals asks, can you speak to how to fix hydroponic soil?
Hydrophobic.
Hydrophobic, sorry.
Okay, so South Florida Sunshine Tropicals says, can you speak to how to fix hydrophobic soil? And I'll just give a quick, funny definition of that. Hydrophobic means hydro is water, phobic means fear. The soil is afraid of water, so it won't hold the water. So if you have soil that is not holding water, how do you fix that?
Organic matter.
Organic matter. Ironically, the answer to heavy clay is add a bunch of organic matter. So mulch, compost. The answer to too much sand, mulch, compost. The answer to hydrophobic soil, mulch and compost. The answer to too much water, mulch and compost. So, literally all of the problems, all of the soils, the answer is actually always mulch and compost. Because, and this gets into one really nerdy fact about mushrooms that I'll just quickly share because I can't help myself.
I love that. I can't help myself.
No one asked, no one cares. Adam's over there rolling his eyes. Mushroom roots can literally break up stone. So if you are planting in Massachusetts on top of hard pan, rock, where we can't even dig for fence posts, if you put the right kind of mushroom root system in place and feed them enough organic matter, they will literally dynamite their way through it over time and break up actual rocks. Mushrooms rock.
That is really.
Oh my gosh.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Sorry, the puns are super problematic.
They're great puns, though.
And yes, Adam actually just mentioned in the comments, and I'll mention it in real life too, that we are here with Carson, who is a soil expert, a reformed big ag fertilizer salesman. Sailor. He used to sail on vessels made of fertilizer.
There is vessels full of fertilizer, but yeah, I didn't sail on them.
Also, once you mentioned the giveaway at the end,
oh yes, a very important thing. If you stick around through all of this nerdy talk about soiling and gardening,
Soiling and gardening.
Adam soiled himself. Just kidding, that's not true. Or is it? He's far enough away from the camera, we can't tell. Good night, we got off track. If you stick around, we have a giveaway of soil products, a Redmond gift certificate, so you can get hydration products for humans, my favorite and also baby's favorite chocolate milk replacement.
Yep.
Electrolytes, vitamins. You can also get soil supplies. So a lot of the things, the Mineralite soil test kits, the stuff you need to test your compost. So stick around. And in case it's unclear in any regard, Redmond is one of our favorite companies across the board. Carson actually works at Redmond, but ironically, we are here chatting literally because we're like wanting to do nerdy farm stuff, and this is our excuse
We
for
have the
doing
same
that.
hobbies, which is to read nerdy books about soil and stuff. So
Yes, Adam overhears us talking, and literally his eyes glaze over, and he just like walks out of the room. And it's great though, because yeah, very few people in my life. I showed this to Carson, and I was like, check out what I just bought, and he was like, oh, that's awesome. And Adam was like, what is that?
is that a flute?
It actually, in this house, it very likely could be.
Yes.
This is called a bricks meter, and if you stick around for our next garden tour, you will see what this is
Are you
used
going
for.
to use it?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yes.
Of course.
Terry Patton says, where do you buy wine cap mushrooms?
Terry Patton says, where do you buy wine cap mushrooms? The easiest source to get them from online is northsporemushrooms.com. And so, yeah, that and you can get one small bag. It doesn't really matter how big your garden is. If you feed it enough, it will spread everywhere. So my life hack is that when I have the power company, when they come and trim, I run out into the road and I'm like, hey, can you please drop all those wood chips right here? And then I take a handful of wine cap mushroom spawn that's already growing in my garden. So like literally basically any handful of dirt from my garden. And I like stick it into the middle of that pile. And then if it takes me 2 years to get to that pile, now I have the world's biggest pile of wine cap mushroom spawn to then put all over my farm. But one $30 bag one time will give you enough mushrooms, like edible mushrooms, to grow a protein source in your garden. I'm not making any money from telling you this. This is literally just one of the nerdy things
She
that
just
I
loves it. If you
can't
can't
help.
tell, she just loves it.
But yeah, no, North Spore is the easiest resource. If you have like a local mushroom grower near you, ask them if you can get their spent bags, or if they have mushroom spawn you can get from them. We always love shopping local. The biggest problem for me with that is that I never leave my house. So,
You have to talk to neighbors.
so ironically, I actually do have a neighbor who's a mushroom farmer, and that's where I get a lot of my
right.
stuff. But yeah, North Spore is yeah, I think the easiest place to get it. And that's it's a pun, so I'm gonna write it down in the chat.
I'll make it. North Shore Mushrooms. Northspore.com.
Yeah,
I got it.
great. Okay, so
Well, I feel like I interrupted something though. What were we talking about this device?
just saying-
we were just pointing it out. It is a little. I am interested. Eugene seems much more shy today than
It
normal.
must be me.
I think. Well, it also might be that Adam terrified her earlier while he was walking back to his desk.
Yeah.
Great.
Aaron New asks kind of a weird question.
I love weird questions.
If I have grocery store mushrooms with white mycelial growth, can I use those to grow mushrooms?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, Aaron New
Correct.
asks, if I have grocery store mushrooms that have some roots on them, can I use those to grow mushrooms? The answer to that is both yes and no. Actually, ironically, the roots of the mushrooms are not where you're gonna get the mushrooms to start propagating. So sometimes people will go to the grocery store and they'll cut the tops off of their celery, and then they'll put the bottom of the celery in the garden, and it'll regrow new celery. Mushrooms, it's not quite like that. Actually, the good stuff that we need from the mushroom comes from the spores of the mushroom. So I said that the name of that company is kind of a pun, North Spore. The spores of the mushrooms are literally the dust that comes out of the top of the mushroom. And most of the time, by the time a mushroom has gone to the grocery store, the spores have already come out of the mushroom. So you would be far better off to like have mushroom spores to begin with. And you probably won't get those from grocery store mushrooms. The other secondary answer to that question is, for example, if you're getting grocery store mushrooms, they're very likely like buttons or cremini mushrooms, and those have very specific growing conditions that they require and special like they need to eat specific kinds of substrate or carbohydrates, and they're actually much more complicated to grow than a lot of other mushrooms. If you are interested in getting into the weird, wild, wonderful world of growing mushrooms, a great place to start is with oyster mushrooms, because they, very similar to wine cap mushrooms, are fairly easy to get started. But again, the only way you're going to be able to get those started is to somehow get the spores. So you have to get a very young mushroom that hasn't been sitting around very long to be able to get the spores out of it. And then, anyway, thank you for coming to my unintentional...
You can't tell what Anne's passions are, can you?
My unintentional TED Talk about mushrooms.
A good one for Carson, I think.
Oh, great.
So this is from Heidi Gendron. It says, old pasture rehabilitation suggestions before adding livestock?
Ooh, okay. Heidi asks Carson for some suggestions about regenerating a pasture before adding livestock. This is the person to ask.
So, there's a lot of different things. The main thing you need to do is get living roots in your soil again. That is the hardest thing to do, is get living roots in your soil. Lots of people will tell you different things. This is my recommendation, is to plant a fast-growing cover crop or something to make sure something's growing, and then go rotationally graze through it, which will increase organic matter, and then the grass that's there will start coming up again. That would be my recommendation on your quickest fix.
So how would you go about, if you're waiting to get animals, how would you go about doing that? What do you mean by cover crop?
So if it was right now, what I'd do is I'd get something that, because when you think of cover crops, or when you're thinking of your garden, there's two types of plants: warm season and cool season. Mm-hmm. There's ones that do well when it's cool in the spring, and then there's some that do really well when it's warm in the summer. So think of corn. That is a warm season plant. It loves it when it's hot. It grows really fast when it's hot.
So would we go plant a field of corn where we're about to put some livestock?
Not quite, no. I would plant maybe a cousin to corn. I'd plant sorghum sudan grass. That would be a great one. And then maybe some kinds of peas or something like that. Or clovers. The main thing is it kind of depends on what your co-op or the people will have.
And by co-op, you mean your local farm store, Tractor Supply?
Yes.
But in that, you would seed it, you would add seeds just like you would seed, like you would plant grass. So you're going to take your little, what are these things called? Seeders, actually?
Fertilizer spreader.
Yeah, you're going to take your little seeder and you're going to put it. And so a lot of people will plant 3 or 4 different things, some clover, some sorghum sudan grass,
some radishes, some turnips,
radish, daikon.
So I deal with really compacted soil, so I plant radishes and turnips, and then I plant sorghum, because sorghum's going to grow tall and fast, and your animals will graze it. Also, it's really stemmy, so they'll leave a lot, and they'll trample it down, which will help with organic matter and ground cover. So those are great options.
So basically, you're going to if you're prepping your compacted soil or your bad pastures, you're going to take it and you're going to spread a whole bunch of
overseed
seeds.
It. Yep.
And in that, you want to do some sort of cover crop that's going to fix things.
Yes, you just need things that are living again. You can't have bare soil. Let's say it was a pasture and horses sat on it, and the horses tear up pasture really bad. So you don't want bare spots. You don't want spots where the grass only grows this tall. You just want living roots, and then you want to rotationally graze it. Don't just turn them out and let them sit there. Graze it rotationally, right? And what that means to you will be different to everyone, but move them more often than not, and that's the best regeneration part.
Great. So would you actually wait for 5 years before getting animals, or would you just...
No, I would do it, and if I didn't have animals, if I had a pasture and I'm because right now, let's say I wanted cows, but cows right now are very expensive. I would find a good friend that had cows and have them run their cows through there.
Oh, so you wouldn't even wait?
No.
You would?
No, I would let it get up,
so
grow it.
Plant something, wait, what, 8 weeks?
Yeah, 8 weeks, just till it gets tall enough, gets tall, when there's growth, then graze it quickly, then get them off there and let it rest.
Okay.
And then do it again.
Great. Adam has a mulch question.
June Duck says, are any tree chips not recommended, i.e. black walnut, etc.? My soil is concrete-like.
Okay. June asks, are there any tree... Sorry, what's that?
June Duck.
June Duck says, are there any tree species that are a big no-no when it comes to use like mulch or wood chips?
Not that I know of. I'm not where I live. No, I don't know about your area.
So this is one of my favorite questions because everyone says never, ever, ever use black walnut. And the funny thing is, I would say it's actually totally fine to use black walnut. There is a compound. I hear Eugene chewing on my chair that I've been building back there, but I think it's mostly fine. No. It's fine. It's just cute. It's precious. We're all just
nibblings.
like just hearing some. Yeah, I think she's terrified of you. It's slow, gentle movements. Yes. Yeah. I don't really think in it like we do have viewership worldwide. So I will say that if you are not in the U.S., exotic tree species are usually a big no-no because they can have oils in the wood that are damaging to plants. But if it is a tree that grows natively in the U.S., there is really not anything that you absolutely can't use. There is a compound in black walnut that's called juglone, which is it can inhibit other plants to grow because walnut trees need a lot of nutrients and need a lot of sunlight, and that chewing is okay, don't worry, because she's chewing on wood chips which are on the ground from the chair, so that's good. Don't worry about that.
That's a good chewing.
Yeah, she's not chewing on black walnut. Actually, black walnut is really bad for animals. Side note. But yeah, black walnut, the thing that makes black walnuts able to not have competitors around them is that they secrete this compound called juglone in their leaves and their roots, which makes it hard for other plants to grow up around them. The thing is that that stuff washes away really, really quickly, and also it's always only in the roots and the leaves, not really in the rest of the tree. So if you're getting tree trimmings, if you're getting like arborist wood chips and stuff, that's mostly going to be the trunk of a tree. Or if you're getting stuff from your local cabinet maker shop, which I always say get sawdust from your local cabinet shop.
Right.
That is made from the center part of the tree, the heartwood of the tree, and there is basically no traceable juglone in that.
I would say most of the time the toxins that are in like you see pine trees or something, they drop their needles, which make it so you can't grow stuff around. That's all in the needle or in the leaf. I wouldn't think there's a lot that's usually in the trunk of the tree.
But similarly, people say all the time, "Oh, don't ever put pine needles in. Don't ever use pine needles as mulch in your garden because it's going to mess up the pH of your garden." Here's the thing about pH. Why is it that I say? Well, let me just ask this as a question. Does pH matter as much as people seem to think it does?
People over stress about pH because and it's really hard to change it. Like I live in the opposite of most people because it's very basic. There's very acidic. I think people overreact about pH. It matters, like everything. Like low nitrogen matters. Does it matter as much as most people think? Probably not. So
what matters way more than your pH though?
I would say just having healthy soil. Like
your fertility. So
Yeah.
like you can fix if you're making good compost, if you're inviting all the fun guys to the party, if you're
Right.
if you're using mulch, like pH basically stops mattering. I accidentally proved this in a really funny moment where I'm very dyslexic and I will get like things that I know to be true, I constantly question it because I'm like, wait, was it that there's 5 stairs or was there 4 stairs? Was there 5 stairs? Like in my mind, this is constantly happening.
Left or right hand?
Is it left? Did I injure my right hand or my left hand? I don't know the difference between left and right.
I'm dyslexic and I have to pretend I'm shooting a basketball in my head every time.
But I can shoot them with both hands, so it's like I could do it,
I couldn't, so.
All that to say that in my mind, I had it in my mind that you wanted to put wood ash on blueberries. That's the opposite of what you want to do. So I literally, in a video, took all this wood ash from my wood stove and I put it all over all of my blueberry plants, and I was like talking about this is like, and then hilariously, first commenter's like, what did you just do? And then I was like, actually, this is a great teaching opportunity, both for me to not say things dumb, like to just like think about things twice before maybe saying them publicly, but also the blueberries have literally never been healthier. That shouldn't be true if we care about pH and those things. The reason it is true that my blueberries absolutely thrived despite my idiotic flub is because we have really healthy soil.
That'll do more than anything else will. Healthy soil.
And the only reason we have healthy soil is because we compost, we test, and we remineralized with...
I think people overreact to all these things, and I sometimes find when I'm talking to people, I frustrate them because they're like, I have beetles, or I have this. What do I do for squash bugs? I'm like, make your plants healthier,
by
make your
fixing
soil
your soil.
Fix your soil, it'll make your plants healthier, it'll fix it. And I know that's not the answer people want, but it's usually the right answer.
Yeah.
Like the long-term answer is that. No more Band-Aids, let's pull the Band-Aids off and like just fix our soil.
And therein lies the thing. It's like, I mean, I am so impatient. I love a quick fix. I would prefer that you just like give me a pill to swallow, give me a thing. Like, actually, left to my own devices, I say that. But like, that's also not the person I want to be, and I also know that that's not actually the way to fix things. Mm-hmm. If you insist on having a quick fix, especially when it comes to gardening stuff, yeah, you can spend all your money. Like, let someone sell you a product. But the thing is that your quick fix is going to cause a long-term problem. This is true in gardening. I think it's also true in life, is that instant gratification yields long-term pain. And like, if you are willing to delay your gratification, if you're willing to fix the problem from the start, yes, is it going to, like, putting compost on your on your dying cucumber vine is not going to fix the problem of the fact that your cucumber vine was infested with squash bugs. Like, that's not going to fix it right away this year. However, by putting compost there, by next year your soil will be healthy enough, or even literally within a few weeks, it's very likely you could put another zucchini seed in the ground and have a healthier plant that is not going to be as affected by squash bugs. And this is an especially relevant thing here in Tennessee too, because like cucumber beetles, squash bugs, it's almost impossible.
Many bugs. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I live in the desert.
So
we don't
here.
have that kind of amount of bugs.
But it's so, like, the funny thing is, in Washington, where we used to garden and live, it was, you would plant one zucchini, and that zucchini would be so big and abundant that you would literally have more zucchini you could possibly do. When we first moved here and we had horrible soil and a lot of pest pressure, it was actually really hard to grow zucchini here, which is a hilarious problem I've never thought I would encounter. But now, yes, we still have just as many squash bugs around here, but we're able to easily grow zucchini and cucumbers and other things because our soil is healthy enough that then it grows plants that are healthy enough to resist the pests that, yeah, you spray some poison on, maybe you'll get rid of them for the season, but do you really want to eat whatever you grew in something that you used a chemical to kill the thing that would kill it?
Pests don't like healthy plants. They like sick plants.
Eugene.
Just remember that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Carson, move your head ever so slightly so people can see Eugene really quick. Get off the live stream. Our special guest, just move off out of sight. Just kidding.
Have the bunny
Eugene's
answer the
back
questions.
there. Eugene would like to take a few questions. Eugene is chewing. You know what? Here's the reason why Eugene is chewing, my sweet love, is you forgot her food dish upstairs, and it's past her dinner time, and so she's being passive aggressive about her food. But it's no problem. There's plenty of things that it's fine for her to chew on in here. I also would like to not let anyone think that Eugene is a naughty, problem-causing bunny. She is perfect in every single regard. And that's all.
I got a few separate questions two separate people, but about the same thing.
Great.
About how do you get rid of horsetail, and what can I add to my soil to do horsetail? So that's from Deborah McKenzie, and I think it was a while ago, but Le Chevalier.
Jay McKenzie and Le Chevalier. Deborah McKenzie and Le Chevalier or Chevalier or something said both asked about horsetail, and ironically, this is actually a question I've been getting a lot lately. Do you know what horsetail is?
No, we don't have horsetail problems.
Oh,
horsetail.
So
horsetail to me.
Well,
and it could be because it's regionally called something different, too.
Yeah, actually, the funny thing is, I was gonna ask Adam to Google what horsetail is because I think I'm thinking of cattails.
Oh yeah.
Which grow in marshes and swamps, and I don't think that that's what people. I'm just gonna look it up really quick. But Karson, if you had, actually, here's a funny thing. Karson, one of the things that's a real big issue here is Bermuda grass. Ironically, we plant Bermuda grass for the cows, but in the garden, Bermuda grass is a real pain. So why don't you talk about that while I look up horsetail?
So, and I've learned this from a lot of people, but I think the best thing to do is stop worrying about, and you guys aren't going to like my answer, just so you know. But just so you know, you're not going to like.
Love that.
You're not going to like my answer because I wish I was going to tell you this great fix. Usually, what you need to do is figure out what horsetail is, why it's in your soil, and then you can maybe change it. But usually, horsetail is probably there because it's fixing something. Like it might be because you have bare ground, it might be because you've overgrazed, or it might be because of this or that. But usually, it's just you got to get your soil healthier so the good things come back. The bad things leave. That's how it is. I'm going to look it up too, because.
All right. I'm seeing pictures of what. Yeah, I would not have thought that was horsetail based on the pictures, but.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that. It looks like it likes somewhere wet.
Horsetail likes poor drainage, compacted soil, or like soil that is compacted and has very poor drainage, has low fertility, and is acidic, so it has low pH. How do we fix poor drainage, low fertility, and acidic soil, Karson?
Let's go with organic matter.
We add compost and mulch.
Yeah, make your soil healthy.
Part of the reason why horsetail, like now that I see the picture, part of the reason that what they're calling horsetail, like I'm not going to even say the genus and species. Well, actually, I am, because Equistum arvens.
Man, you're way better than me.
Actually, someone told me that I've been saying cucurbit wrong in our comment section of our most recent video, and I'm not surprised to hear that because I have only ever read most of these things and I usually say them wrong. But the funny thing is, I'm like, I don't remember how he said it was proper to say it. Cucurbit, I think. Yes. Anyway, we'll get back to you on that. But anyway, with the horsetail, they are a rhizomal plant, which means that they spread. Oh, Eugene! They spread by rhizomes, so they will spread under the soil. So tilling is a bad idea whenever you're dealing with a rhizomal plant, because every time you break the rhizome, it will send out 2 shoots from every break. So you're going to multiply it by tilling. Mm-hmm. So you definitely don't want to do that. Like I always say, cardboard is the answer, but if you have a really, really bad issue with a rhizomal species, especially like we have nimbleweed, which is grass that grows, it'll grow through an entire pile of wood chips if you're not careful. Goodness. So sometimes cardboard is not the solution for that, especially if your cardboard's breaking down really quickly. So what I would recommend if you have a really bad patch of that kind of thing is either buy or not buy, go look in your junk pile or your neighbor's trash pile and find an old tarp and put some plastic down to what's called solarize the soil, like just literally kill whatever's there. If you put plastic on the soil for like 2 weeks in the sun, it should kill pretty much everything beneath it, and then come back and add compost and mulch, and that will probably at least help the soil. Again, with some of the peskier, and like I should say, we talk a lot about weeds being really good for the soil. There are invasive species.
That I actually was having that exact thought.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like native weeds are fixing the soil. There's also very invasive species that are awful to deal with.
What they're calling horsetail is an invasive species, so that is going to be a lot harder to get rid of. And so sometimes you have to use the bigger guns with those. Another solution I really like, but I should mention that in people that live in areas that are more prone to wildfires and things, you need to be really careful with this. Like, check to see if you have burn bans. But I have a weed torch. It's literally like it's a flamethrower on the end of a propane tank. And if you take it on like plants like horsetail, this is actually a great way to do it. Is like you take the weed torch and you shoot the fire on to wilt the top of the plant. Then let it grow back a little bit, and then shoot the flame on top of the plant. If you come back and do that every 5 or 6 days, it will exhaust the root system of the plant. Because the part of the plants that we see are the solar panels of the plant, and they send the sun's energy down to the root system of the plant. And so if you are continually killing the solar panel, like what happens to our Teslas when left in the dark for too many days in a row.
But people appreciate the tips. It sounds like it's like a pretty persistent one. So like Bowtie Life in the Garden in South Florida Sunshine Tropical said that 2 weeks solarizing is probably not going to do it. Probably much longer.
Okay, so
it sounds like a whole season.
Adam is saying that if this is the case for horsetails in some areas, that an entire season of solarization might be the only way to kill it.
Sounds like it's a pretty
pernicious weed, very persistent. Oh, here's Eugene. Oh, she's
nice.
So cute. Yeah, so I mean, and if that's the case, yeah, a whole season might be it. But here's the thing: like, if people are trying to plant in an area where the horsetails are right now, like I'm trying to give things to like remediate it at least temporarily, so that you can deal with it. So like the weed torch is a good way to get started. Could try like this whole time you want to keep adding fertility to the soil. So you want to add mulch, you want to add things, but yeah, it might take a while. Again,
do you get it here? Do you get horsetail?
I have never seen it on our farm. Like, that's why I had to look up to see what the picture was. We had some in a really bad area of our farm in Washington. Okay. And we might have it here, but like there's so many other things that I've never like it's not a prevalent issue here.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
This is a good one. Dion Parrish asks, what's the difference between wood chips and mulch?
Oh, that's great. Dion Parrish asks, what's the difference between wood chips and mulch?
Nothing. What do you mean by wood chips?
So like a lot of people are thinking when we say mulch, because this is a product that people sell. Like if you go to Home Depot and you buy a bag of mulch, how's that different than the wood chips we're talking about using in the garden?
Right. So mulch, like if you go to Home Depot and you're going to buy mulch, it's going to be like colored, dyed, in a bag. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's kind of the question. Okay. Yeah. Wood chips are just going to be ground up wood, and mulch, like we're using the term mulch as pretty much wood chips. We're like using those, but we're not. You don't want the chemically induced or stained.
We're not talking about landscapers' wood chips, which is what people use to beautify their lawns. We use the term mulch, and this is actually like shame on us for like constantly making this more confusing. We use the term mulch as an interchangeable thing with with several things, because what mulch is, in the grand scheme of things, is some kind of recently alive, decaying organic matter that we put to back on the soil to make sure that we never leave any bare soil anywhere. We can use straw as mulch. We can use sawdust as mulch. We can use all these things, but generally speaking, wood chips that are untreated, that we get from arborists, from the power company, if you trim your trees in your lawn and put them through a wood chipper. That's what we're talking about when it comes to wood chips, as opposed to just like going and buying a bag of colored landscaping mulch. I would not recommend putting colored landscaping mulch on your garden. It is very expensive, but I also do recognize that a lot of people don't have access to, or can't have an entire truckload of arborist chips like dropped off on their apartment driveway. And so in that case, there are actually just like untreated wood chips, or go to your local Tractor Supply and get some straw.
Yeah, and you can
go to your cabinet shop and ask them for their jointer and planer shavings.
You can use like more bedding wood chips too. Like they have those in little bales.
Go to Walmart
like
and
pine
get
shavings, they call them.
The very same thing we use in Eugene's litter box. Like we get, like for $5 we get a bale of pine shavings. That's fantastic mulch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. And like you said, you can use straw. Like if you have straw, the things you have to be careful with the straw is a lot of straw has been sprayed by lots of chemicals, and some chemicals stay on it. I know some people worry about that. So.
And actually, that is like a whole other TED Talk in and of itself, as far as like how to be careful about straw. The funny thing is, a lot of people are like have been told by a lot of YouTube gardeners that straw has been sprayed with something that will make none of your plants grow. That's actually not true. Straw may have been sprayed with a broadleaf deterrent, because straw is coming from hay.
It's a grass.
And so actually you can grow a lot of, like, even if you have a contamination in your garden, there's still actually a lot of things you can still successfully grow in that, just not broadleaf plants. So like your beans, your peas, those kinds of things are not going to grow super well if you have contaminated straw. However, you can still grow all kinds of other grass-related things like lettuce, like potatoes, other things.
If you have an organic source of straw, it makes it even better. It's harder to find.
Yeah, in a dream world we would, but that's like, I mean, I tell people all the time to go get horse manure, and it's like, how are we going to know that the horse manure, that the horse didn't eat straw that was sprayed?
Right.
And the very quick answer to all of that is like, test your compost. Mm-hmm. See if there are residual sprays in your compost.
Composting will help too, like just the cooking, all that. Clay will actually bind some stuff. So if you're like being careful, put some clay on. So Mineralyte might help.
Yeah, so the product that we were talking about earlier, one of the 3 things that I recommend you actually do with your soil, Mineralyte, it's made with bentonite clay, which is a different composition than like the clay that's in just like your clay soil. Mm-hmm. But bentonite clay, it's like in its powdered form, so that can also help to remediate some of that stuff.
If like it'll bind anything that's a positive charge. So, and most things that are bad are actually positive charges. So.
Are we talking about like going back to 8th grade chemistry class, the positive and negative cations, anions?
Yes, it's almost like you can use it again. It's crazy.
Ironically, I really, really struggled in school, but I had a really incredible organic chemistry teacher, and that was one of my favorite classes, and hilariously probably a huge reason why I'm such a nerd about this stuff now, because for whatever reason, that one of all the science and all the math that I failed, that I got an A+ in that class.
Well, it's all about the teacher, right?
Yeah. Mrs. O.
Mrs. O.
Yeah, for what
you remember
worth.
her.
Yeah. Adam, you have any more questions that are...
I was checking for the
I can hear Eugene is eating my handmade broom as we speak, which...
So does Eugene have a gender?
Eugene is a girl. This is yeah.
Okay,
so
I love that.
My favorite radio show growing up was called Adventures in Odyssey, and there's a character in the show who's a genius named Eugene, and like I imagine Eugene at this exact moment, she's actually being kind of an idiot, but like I imagine Eugene to have like so many smart superpowers, and I imagine that Eugene's like personal catchphrase is, well, actually. And so in that's why she's named Eugene.
That's great. I was not thinking that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a girl. And here's actually a funny side note story about Eugene. Eugene is a girl. She's also, for those who are curious, she is a fiber animal, so she's perfect in every single way. Anyway, turns out Eugene was one of what we thought was 3 sisters. Turns out all 3 sisters except for Eugene turned out to be boys. And so Eugene is the one girl with a boy name that was actually a boy. When they're
did you
little.
know she was a girl when you named her Eugene?
Yeah, I did. But the funny thing is I thought all of them were, but here's the thing. When they're that small, it's very, very hard. They're so fluffy down there, and it's like all the parts are very small, difficult to see. But, you know, as they get older, some of those parts get bigger and much easier to see. And it turns out Eugene had brothers. So anyway, yes, Adam, help us get back on track.
Let's see. This is an interesting one. What are some common organic, quote unquote, practices that still harm soil life without us realizing it?
What are some common organic practices that still harm soil health without us knowing it? So what are the sneaky quick fixes that organic gardeners are telling us that are actually bad for the soil?
That is a really interesting one. And you're just thinking organic, we're not thinking regenerative, right?
We're just thinking about
organic.
like something that like Martha Stewart said one time that's been proliferated 50 times and it's not correct.
You answer first because I have to actually think about this one.
Before we get roasted in the comments.
Yeah.
I think
It's just that he's weighing the consequences.
He's weighing the consequences. I'm happy to look like an idiot. This is like part of my.
Well, no, it's not like I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying to think of organic. I can think of a lot of practices, but.
I mean, ironically, I would say that, like, people using straw. Like I just said that straw is fine, but like ironically, like now that basically with the economy being what it is, farmers are being pressed from every side to have as productive of plants as possible. And so straw is one of the things, it's a side effect of like making barley and all kinds of other things. So farmers are going to be far more likely to use broadleaf killers, and also to use Roundup to kill their crop at the end, so that because straw has to be harvested when it's dead. So like the chances today as opposed to 10 years ago that your straw is going to be contaminated with chemicals that you don't want in your garden are much, much higher than they were 10 years ago. So the people that grew up with Ruth Stout being put straw on everything, straw is the answer, straw, straw, I would say
straw is not the same as it used to.
Straw is not, along with a lot of things, straw is not the same as it used to be. And so I would say that use it, it's a great mulch, but use it with caution. And also, if you're going to buy it specifically for your garden, ask where it came from.
So as I thought of that, I was trying to think of practices, and there's not so much products, but organic growers, and I'm using the term just organic. I'm not using regenerative, because you said that.
Just
so
organic gardeners, the common advice.
It seems popular, and a lot of people, because they're not using chemicals, which is great, they'll over-till because that gets rid of weeds. So they'll build plant here, and I have a tilling spot. I till in between just to keep the weeds down all the time. I think that's really, really hard on your soil, because your microbes have built all these highways and this tunnel system and your root system.
All your good funguses.
And then you go till it up just to keep the weeds down. And then you go till it up. So that's really, really hard on your soil. So it's not killing your soil, but it's not letting your soil do its job. So tilling would be the one I would say.
I would also say trying to have a picture perfect garden.
Bare soil.
Yeah, like this is where I'm
they're
going
all
with that.
popping in my head now.
Trying to have a picture perfect garden is also not great, because picture perfect gardens require there to be too much bare soil. Mm-hmm. And anytime that you have, like, anytime you can see black, you're creating a spot where water can evaporate, because what happens when the sun hits something that's black, it gets hot, you're creating a perfect spot for a weed seed that blows in on the wind to germinate and have plenty of space to grow. So people, I've seen in my comments section, people calling my garden like a chaos garden, which I'm like, that's actually, my whole life is chaos. That's a good description.
That's very descriptive, yeah.
But the reality is, like, in looking in my garden, you will never see a bare spot. Like, just like the forest, I plant things successionally. So it's like, if there's a tall plant, I have a short plant planted in front of it and 3 other plants planted next to it. And in that, like, it doesn't look picture perfect year round. Ironically, once it's actually growing really well,
it's beautiful.
It looks really beautiful because there's green everywhere, and some of it might not be exactly what I wanted or the most prolific version, but because of that, like, there is very little weed pressure. There's very little need to water. There's tons of roots in my soil. There's lots of underground highways happening. Yeah, so trying to make things like perfect straight rows, I have OCD. I would love to have just perfect straight rows, but I also know that that's not going to work.
Right.
So, well, it will work, but it just will also create a lot more work. And we're supposed to be lazy gardeners because we have a lot of other stuff we want to be doing besides just working in the garden all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. So all those things, bare soil, tilling, straw, that's all interesting ones.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me time to think about it.
Oh, no problem. Adam, do you have any other, like, we should probably I noticed Carson has yawned twice. We should probably let him go to bed soon.
You guys work me.
Why don't you give some just like general life updates?
General life updates. Okay, so probably in case this is like, okay, so I'm 9.5 months pregnant. We're imminently expecting a baby. He will join us any day, hopefully, before mid-June. And and because of that, like, the usual, like, speaking engagements that I like, the homesteading festivals and things that I usually talk at or speak at, I won't be able to attend them this year, although Carson's coming to the Homestead Festival in Columbia, Tennessee, which is not super far from us. So I was like, if I can get Adam to roll me there, and I haven't had the baby, I'll probably come hang out.
Put you in the back of the truck and get you there.
I've lovingly said, if there are any Willy Wonka fans here, I'm in my Violet Beauregard stage of pregnancy where she gets rolled because she turns into a blueberry, which is what I feel like right now. So if I haven't given birth yet, I will be at the Redmond booth hanging out at the Homestead Festival. What other life updates? I mean, in my personal life, Adam's mustache is still very glorious.
It is a good one, actually. It really is a good mustache.
Thank you.
My friend has started calling Adam Dadum, which I really like because he's entering the dad phase of life, and we're really excited about that.
About some New Balance shoes.
Yes.
Adam got some New Balance shoes. Yeah, he really truly is, like, fully entering dad mode, and we're embracing it. We've tried so hard for so long to have kids in this world, so we're really excited about that. We had our friends Bobby and Sherry from Black's Tropical Homestead up to the farm a couple weeks ago, and they helped us, like, to revamp the tiki garden. Adam has a tiki hut and a very cool garden around it that's all tiki themed, and we planted banana trees together. We are, like, Tennessee is not an ideal growing conditions for actually getting fruitful bananas. You can grow banana trees, however, I'm like, my weird nesting baby stage, like, this stage of things is like, I am convinced that I'm going to be able to successfully get bananas from Adam's tiki hut banana trees. So we'll see if that's successful. Eugene, very cute. as always. What other?
Everyone's worried, are you resting? And everyone is very worried.
Oh,
Are you resting?
I have never in my life asked for more help than I currently am. Also, that probably doesn't look as resty to some people as others. Like, in fact, he earlier said, like, you're the most independent pregnant person I've ever. I am doing my very best. It is very difficult. Like, after like injuring my hand and then having our last pregnancy and miscarriage and like all the health things that were in that, like I find, and then like being so violently ill for the first 6 months of this pregnancy, like I finally feel good enough that it is really, really hard for me to not overdo it. I will say that. Adam did run out of the house the other day and yell at me because I was mowing, like I was out in the pasture mowing behind the cows. But I was like, don't worry, I'm driving really, really slow, and I'm only mowing this one part because I'm trying to reduce the weed pressure in this one part.
Adam's being very helpful.
He is. Adam is in his Farmer Adam stage of life. He is. And
he's really taking care of Ann in a
he
great
really
way.
is. Adam is doing, that's a much more important.
Yeah. I expect that.
Adam just said, I'll slip you $20 later, Carson. Thanks for saying that. No, it's really true. Adam is doing, this is actually a really precious piece of our life right now, is that like, I am not a very good patient in any regard, but Adam is constantly telling me like, lay down. He's bringing me like, water, and like, he's spoiling me in a way that it's like, it's actually been very precious for our marriage, and a lot of really wonderful relationship related things are happening as a result of Adam showing a lot of concern in a really loving way. Plus the mustache is great.
Mostly the mustache.
Mostly the mustache.
And the New Balance shoes.
That's putting over the top.
Yeah, but I will also say that like one concern I really did have is that after being so inactive, like I am a very active person. This probably comes as a shock to no one. But one of the concerns I did have is like after being so inactive for so long, being sick, I was really worried about like birth and recovery. And so when I did start feeling better, I have been intentional about trying really hard not to push it too much, but also trying to get in a little bit better shape as much as I can, so that I can like hopefully recover faster, because that's, I don't know, that is something that I'm trying to find the happy balance, but also we will do anything to try to protect this baby and bring it here safely. So that is the weirdest way I probably could have answered that question, but here we are. Yeah. What else? Any other good life updates? We got the baby room ready. Talk
about that.
That's really cool.
Like purged our clothes.
Yeah, we did. I have this like pillow chair that I got. It's like basically a glorified beanbag chair, and it was kind of a fun life thing that I literally sat in it, and we got rid of.
I haven't got rid of clothes in like 20 years.
Yeah, we got rid of when we moved here. It was kind of chaotic when we moved here, and also our last move was also chaotic. So there was some things that we literally hadn't even unpacked, and I was like, we've lived here for 5 years. If we've lived here for 5 years and they're not unpacked, we probably don't need to keep them. So I love getting rid of things and like donating things. And so Adam was literally, I was on my beanbag chair and Adam was like holding things up and he's like, yes or no. So we had a major Marie Kondo house cleanup.
That was the first thing that popped in my mind
Marie
when you
Kondo?
described. Yes.
Yeah. We did a big purge, which is also helping, like, cleanliness and organization is very important to me. So like that's also helping that, because things are easier to clean and there's less stuff to take care of. All those things are great. His parents and siblings came for a weekend and helped us declutter and get the baby room ready and everything, and that was so kind of them, and also like a really special fun time. And it is really kind of like a wild thing to like we turn the light on in the baby room and like look at it every night before we go to bed, which like We didn't even cry in this live stream, and I'm like about to, so I'm gonna stop myself.
You're gonna make me over here, yeah. What the heck?
But that's like kind of a weird, wild thing because like, you know, hope is after loss is always very dangerous and scary, but also like, what is life without hope? Like.
And I saw a comment today that said, "I love animal trades videos, but she cries in every video."
So okay, Adam just said that that a commenter said that I love animal trades videos, but she cries in every video. I will say that is a new development mostly, and I will fully blame it on pregnancy and loss. Because I believe it or not, if you're new to this channel and you've only watched our recent videos, this might actually come as a shock. But I actually did not cry for 10 years straight. And I think that once those floodgates opened, it was hard to put it back in.
I love it. So should we do a Redmond giveaway?
Oh yeah, let's do the Redmond giveaway. Also, like Carson, tell us about Redmond really quick. Like, give us the. Tell us about where you work, where you live. We are huge fans of this company. I didn't even know, like, I had been feeding Redmond salt to my animals for 10 years because it was the best salt in the business, and I was super into salt and like salt history and all these things. There is a very unique salt mine in Utah that makes the best salt. Let's talk about it, but like.
Yeah, so we are in central Utah, like not Salt Lake. So don't think of the Great Salt Lake, anyone. So think of like 100 miles south. I don't even know. 2.5 hour drive south. That's where we're at. An ancient sea salt. So it's from the Jurassic period, from 200 million years ago. And luckily where we're at, this salt deposit runs like all across this western United States. But luckily where we're at is the only place it goes to the very surface. And so we have unrefined sea salt. And which the cool part about that is we're the only unrefined sea salt mined in America. So other sea salts come off the ocean, which have pollutants, things like that.
What happens to our trash when we throw it away? It gets mailed to China and they throw it out in the ocean.
And so,
do we want that in the salt that we eat or feed our animals? Absolutely not. We want salt from 150 million years ago that was trapped in the earth and buried when an ancient seabed dried up.
So the only pollutants we have is whatever was happening when the dinosaurs were there.
So it might have some dinosaur farts in it, but that's probably it.
Well, that's really good, Anne. Now they're really going to want it. Just kidding.
I would pay so much money to eat something that had been farted on by a dinosaur. This is a weird way for me to take this.
But so that
I don't know. I just like how cool would it be to be like a T-Rex tooted around this? I don't know.
So cool things about Redmond. We're an American-owned company, started in 1958, owned by really cool people.
Yeah.
And we have great products, anywhere from table salt to really, really good, clean. And the great thing is we source clean ingredients. We have really good seasonings, Relight, which Anne loves being pregnant.
Yes. Staying hydrated is very
She made
important.
me chocolate Relight with goat's milk today, and it is so amazing. So you should all do that.
Yeah, actually, we did talk about this. Like, one funny life update is I don't like chocolate. Like, and this is probably everyone just left the live stream because I said that. I do not like chocolate, but Relight came out with this chocolate product. At first I was like, are we putting this chocolate in like cold water and drinking it like another electric light? I was like very skeptical, very not into it, obviously don't like chocolate. But then I had the idea of putting it in like milk, and I swear this is baby just made me do this because I don't like chocolate. He loves chocolate apparently. I have been drinking chocolate milk made with, this is literally just hydration salt, cocoa, like it has
Clean
5 calories in it. There's no sugar. It's amazing. Anyway, I just put that in my goat milk that I normally drink for breakfast, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to drink unchocolated milk again.
It's good.
So good. So I made that for Carson earlier.
So we have that all the way up to, we have soil products and animal products, which we have great minerals for your animals. So it's cool because it starts with you and it goes all the way to your soil, to your livestock.
Yeah. How does health happen from the ground up, right?
Right.
And so we start from like getting our soil healthy, we get our animals healthy. If we eat the animals, then like we're eating good stuff. If we're eating our stuff from the garden. The other thing that you guys do is you do soil tests that are very different than other soil tests. For $30,
Yeah, 30 something, yeah.
You can get a self-addressed stamped envelope that shows up, and it has instructions for how you take a soil sample in your garden or in your compost, and you can then you take a picture of the QR code with your phone, and some beep boops happen, and then they email you very specific soil test results that are so much more in depth and useful, and that's
understandable.
And it's not, they're not trying to sell you something by sending you that. You've already bought and used the thing you needed.
And it only takes 3 to 8 days. So, and most of that is
3 to 8 days.
3 to 8 days. Yeah.
Oh, to get your tests. Okay.
Yeah. So you send it 3 in it. So, and most of that is the shipping period.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to think. Sometimes they take months or weeks. It's very fast.
So fast soil test, and that's the other thing. So that's what we're giving away here is a gift cards to Redmond. You can get human, animal, soil products.
Do you know what's the best part? Is when you're a homesteader, we call it human salt. And everyone else is like, what do you mean by human salt?
That is really funny. Actually, he and I were like talking about that earlier because I literally used to, like, what happens when one of our animals is sick, we give them a specific kind of salt from a certain area of the mine. So hilariously, when I would have certain issues, like I'm like, oh, I need some certain vitamin, I would make myself an salt lick by chipping off a piece of my animal's salt lick, and I would start licking that thing. Hey. It's healed a myriad of woes. And so that is what, like, I was like, oh, I have my human salt lick, I have my animal salt lick.
Right. There you go. So,
farmers are weird, in case that's not clear already. Yeah, so Adam, pick 3 names. We have 3 people to give Redmond gift certificates to, and the rules of the game are we're going to pick your name, and then you are going to email me marketing@anavoltrades.com. Adam's going to put the address here, but you're going to email me marketing@anavoltrades.com, and you're going to say, I won the Redmond thing, and and that's all you need to say. We need your email address, and we'll get you what you need. So email me. Let's hear it. 3 names, buddy.
All right, Aaron New.
Aaron New.
Nice.
Send me an email. Marketing@anavoltrades.com. Send me an email. You get a gift certificate. Adam.
And this is completely at random.
Adam has a random generator.
I'd say it's semi-random.
Adam has a random generator.
He said it's semi-random.
He does, yes. It is semi-random because he also, we had an issue one time where someone was being a real jerk in the comments section, and they were just causing issues. So he used his random generator and then nixed that name because that person was being a jerk.
Good for you, Adam. Thank you.
Adam's really good at protecting me. I think that's part of the reason I don't usually read the comments is because it's hard to retain my TED talk that I'm accidentally giving about mushrooms when I'm looking at someone talking about how often I cry in my videos. Just kidding.
And the next name is Gina Z.
Gina Z. Please send me an email, marketing@anavoltrades.com. We will send you your gift card. One more, buddy.
2 names. I have to choose one.
Oh, roll the dice.
Let's do Whatchamacallit Homestead.
Whatchamacallit Homestead. Send me an email, marketing@anavoltrades.com. Thank you so much for hanging out. Time is our most valuable resource that we have, and it means everything that you would invite us into your homes and into your lives. We love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you for making this such a fun thing to get to do. Cheers.
Cheers.
Have the best night of your lives. We'll see you
guys
later. Carson, thank you so much for
Yes.
tolerating me, for being my friend, for coming and joining
This
us
has
on the
been
live
awesome.
stream.
This is fun.
Yeah.
This is actually really fun. You have great people watching you.
Yeah, well, literally the best people with the best questions. And it's a good way to feel like you're contributing to be able to help people grow better stuff. So, yeah. Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
See you guys.
Have a great night. Bye. Actually, Adam, I don't know how to stop. Oh, here it is.
I don't know how to stop. End stream.
Perfect.